Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering The Ghost of the Bad Humor Man, and this episode originally aired on December 11th, 1976, and it is the 15th episode of the new Scooby Doo Show. If you're new to my channel, my goal is to review every Scooby Doo episode. I'd suggest you kind of peruse my channel before subscribing, see if you like what I'm doing. A lot of people, I think they come here just to see episodes of Scooby Doo. That's not what I do. I do some clips. I show, like 10% of the episode in clips and such. But I don't show full episodes. It's just me kind of reviewing. And I leave my review at the end after I do a summary of the episode using cartoon clips. Anyway, with this episode, here the gang encounter 3 Technicolor ghosts at the Happy Humor Ice Cream Factory, which Shaggy lovingly nicknames the Strawberry, Vanilla, and Chocolate Ghosts. This is one of the most requested episodes for me to review. People have been hounding me for ever since I started my channel to do this episode. So I'm very happy to finally get to it 2, maybe 3 years later. And I love this era of Scooby-Doo, so I knew I would enjoy this episode. As for trivia, this is the first time we see Shaggy driving the Mystery Machine. And of course he crashes it. He also crashed it in The Beast is Awake in Bottomless Lake. But we can't ban Shaggy from driving the Mystery Machine because Freddy certainly had his fair amount of crashes, especially during the new Scooby-Doo movies. He crashed the Mystery Machine quite a bit, and they also ran out of gas quite a bit. And they never seemed to have any heating when Freddy was driving the Mystery Machine. So, Freddy, Shaggy, it's the Mystery Machine. It does what it wants, I guess. Maybe the Mystery Machine's possessed. The Technicolor Ghosts are modified versions of the Phantom Shadows from A Night of Fright is No Delight. And that's cool. Some people complain about that. I think it's awesome. I love the Phantom Shadows or the Green Ghosts. And I love, in this case, that we get the red, white, and brown ghosts just to differentiate them. And the episode from A Night of Fright of No Delight also has a sheriff, and the police officer from this episode is pretty much identical to that sheriff. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with the review. The episode begins with Shaggy driving the Mystery Machine through a city during a lightning storm. While avoiding a black cat crossing the road, Shaggy crashes the Mystery Machine into the loading dock of an ice cream factory. From a window above, a ghost looks down upon them. All 4 tires are blown on the Mystery Machine, and there's only 1 spare, so the gang need to call for help. They also find a strange amount of ice cream bars piled on the roadside. Shaggy then realizes that the slippery gobsicles, as he calls them, must have caused him to slide into the factory building, as he was only going about 10 miles an hour at the time.
Shaggy, look out! A black cat! Well, I guess we better get busy and change the tire.
You mean tires? Shaggy's blown all 4.
I was only doing 10 miles an hour in that black cat.
Ice cream pops.
What's 1,000 gobsicles doing in the middle of the road?
That skid wasn't Shaggy's fault after all. The ice cream is slipperier than grease.
Freddy and the girls go into the building to ask to use the phone, while Shaggy and Scooby stay back to eat the ice cream. On the Mystery Machine's radio, Shaggy hears a news report that $2 million in cash have been robbed from an armored car that has disappeared.
Look! Our ice cream company. Leave it to Shaggy to crash right into an ice cream factory. Maybe we can use their phone to call for a tow truck.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. A Blinks armored car containing $2 million in cash has mysteriously vanished.
Shaggy and Scooby then walk into the ice cream factory to tell the gang about this robbery. He also claims once inside that he smells bacon and not ice cream, which is unusual because they're in an ice cream factory. Following Scooby's nose, they come to a room with a hot plate where bacon and eggs are sizzling. Here they meet the night security guard, who is a bit aloof, deaf, and blind. The guard's name is Mr. Grizzly. Mr. Grizzly mistakes them as factory workers. Riding on a golf cart, Mr. Grizzly takes the gang to a phone, and as they drive, he explains that everyone has quit due to the Technicolor phantoms haunting the building, and these phantoms are red, white, and brown. Shaggy then nicknames them the Strawberry, Vanilla, and Chocolate Phantoms.
My eggs! Forgot all about them. Burned them to a cinder.
Sorry we bothered you, mister, but we'd like to use your phone.
You're right, young feller. There's no place like home. I thought all you ice cream makers quit on account of them phantoms. Big, ugly Technicolor phantoms floating through the air. A brown one, a white one, and a red one.
Sounds like chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream.
Quit cold, they did. Every last worker. The phantoms scared them off. Phone's on the desk. So long.
Velma picks up the phone to call for auto service, but instead she hears a message that says, "You are doomed if you do not depart these grounds."
I'll get some help.
You are doomed if you do not depart these grounds.
The Strawberry, Chocolate, and Vanilla Phantoms then show up, and they give the gang a chase.
Strawberry Phantom!
I don't believe it!
The gang then run into the building owner who has a cast on his foot. The owner says his silent alarm had gone off, so he came to investigate. Introducing himself as Avery Queen, the owner claims that the Technicolor Phantoms are ruining his business. The freezers are so overrun that workers were just dumping the ice cream in the streets, and that's how he broke his leg. When he stopped to clean up the mess, he slipped and broke his foot.
First ice cream flavored phantoms, and now giant spiders!
What are you kids doing in here? That your van that crashed through my door? I'm Avery Queen. I own this factory. Those phantoms are ruining me. Workers all quit. Tons of ice cream going to waste in the freezer. And that's the third truckload of gopsicles they dumped in the street. Busted my leg cleaning up the first batch.
This is your last warning. You are doomed if you do not leave these grounds. Doomed, doomed, doomed.
Shaggy and Scooby, meanwhile, are in the ice cream storage room, which is a freezer. Shaggy takes a bite out of an ice cream bar that is far too frozen. Meanwhile, the girls confront Mr. Queen, and after, they all go look for Scooby and Shaggy. As they walk away, Avery Queen walks away in a suspicious manner as he isn't using his crutches.
You and Daphne stay with Mr. Queen. Shaggy and I'll have a look around.
We'll try to help, Mr. Queen.
Shaggy and Scooby have vanished.
We better start looking for them.
In an underground garage, Velma, Daphne, and Freddy spot dozens of unused ice cream trucks that are meant for delivery. A large crack in the ground has also formed by the weight of one of the ice cream trucks. Unfortunately, when they go to look in the truck, it is locked, so they can't investigate it any further. The Strawberry Phantom then shows up and takes chase, where they end up locked in the ice cream freezer with Scooby and Shaggy.
It's an underground garage.
And will you look at all those ice cream trucks? Hey, maybe it's an earthquake.
Look, the crack comes from right under the tire of this truck. An ice cream truck can't be that heavy.
The Strawberry Phantom!
While in the ice cream freezer, Shaggy has found a fur coat that makes him look like a phantom, which causes some amusing hijinks that causes Freddy and the girls to hide along with Scooby. One of the ghosts also mistakes Scooby for one of the other ghosts, and we get a pretty funny scene until they realize that Shaggy is just some dude in a fur coat.
Zoinks!
Oh, yeah.
Three's a crowd!
Shaggy eventually returns to the freezer and rescues Scooby and the rest of the gang. The ghosts reappear and more of a chase takes place.
Look!
Freddy sets a trap using strawberry syrup, but instead he catches Shaggy in his fur coat. Shaggy then ditches his fur coat. Apparently he had it on all this time before because the freezer was frozen, but after being mistaken so many times as a ghost, he's had enough, he's got it off. The gang then discover that Mr. Queen is missing, and He is without his crutches. Velma sees him running off out of the corner of her eye and is very suspicious.
Mr. Queen is gone.
Without his crutches.
There he is. He's vanished.
He ran, and without his crutches.
The gang also find buckets of white paint and remember that all the trucks were painted white. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby have their own problems as they are stuck in a room with a leaky milk tank. Returning to the garage, Velma finds out the same truck that cracked the floor is freshly painted and built out of solid steel. Our trio of ghosts then appear and make for another chase where they corner Freddy, Daphne, and Velma.
All this white paint was used recently. It's still wet inside the cans.
Yeah, but nothing is painted white in here.
Except for those ice cream trucks.
Fresh white paint. And it's the same truck that cracked the floor.
Nobody builds an ice cream truck out of solid steel.
Oh no, they've locked us in.
Fortunately, Shaggy and Scooby's leaky milk tank causes a waterfall of milk that knocks the ghosts down. The three ghosts then hop into one of the ice cream trucks to try and drive off. Freddy stops them by shutting the garage door, which they then crash into. Inside the back of the truck, we see loads of cash fall out. Using two other trucks, the gang trap the trio by side blocking their vehicle doors.
I'll try to stop them, girls. You make a run for it.
They're getting away.
Nice work, gang. We trapped them. They can't open the doors.
Unmasking the villains, it's revealed to be Mr. Grizzly, the nightly security guard, and two random accomplices. The police officer reveals that Mr. Grizzly is really Sammy the Shrimp, the most clever hijacker in the country.
Clever the way you kids kept these phony phantoms locked up till I got here.
The vanilla phantom has got to be Mr. Queen.
Not this one. Or this one. It's Mr. Grizzly.
Mr. Grizzly? That's Sammy the Shrimp, the cleverest hijacker in the country.
Mr. Queen then shows up and Shaggy accuses him of being in on everything and just kind of running the show. And Shaggy throws out accusations that Mr. Queen is wearing a fake cast because they saw him run and he's walking around without this thing. And Mr. Queen voluntarily breaks his cast and inside we see wads of cash. Mr. Queen states that it is his own money or the company money that he was hiding because he was afraid of the Phantom stealing it while they were floating around the ice cream factory. We then learn that Sammy the Shrimp had hijacked the armored car and then haunted the garage to scare everyone away so they could park the truck and disguise it until the heat was off.
What's going on here?
Okay, mister, we've seen you run without those phony crutches.
With those phantoms on the loose, I was afraid to leave it in my safe.
Mr. Grizzly, Sammy the Shrimp hijacked that missing Blink's armored car.
Then he and his two pals put on those phony costumes, scared everyone away, and hid the car in your garage.
They painted it to look like one of your Happy Humor trucks. It was a perfect way to camouflage the stolen vehicle.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for those brats, we could have driven through every roadblock in the city.
Well, you did a great job of capturing these hijackers, kids. They'll keep for a long time in the cooler.
With another mystery solved, the gang head off on their next adventure. I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. Now you might be thinking I'm crazy for not giving it a perfect 10. Hear me out. Okay, like you, I love the look of the Technicolor Phantoms. And while they are a bit of a ripoff of the Phantom Shadows, who cares? They look great. They look fantastic. They also sound spooky. I love the giggles and the laughs they were making in this episode. I just wish we got to spend a little more time with them because a lot of this episode is just kind of quick shots of them. We get that one gag with Shaggy and the ghost, but other than that, we just don't get enough time with these ghoulish phantoms. I wish there's just a little more time. And the episode, it isn't that particularly spooky. It's more fun than spooky, which I didn't mind. But I just wish they went more with the spooky angle. Just a sliver more. That would have knocked it to a 10. The ice cream factory made for a unique set piece though, And I love the various rooms, such as the freezer, the garage, and the other areas where they manufactured the ice cream. There are a lot of gags in this one, but they aren't they're not over the top silly, which I appreciated. So they kind of work with the environment. And I just loved how Shaggy was wearing that fur coat, and he got to interact with one of the ghosts at one point, and then the ghosts realize it's just some dude in a fur coat, and that was kind of funny. And then Shaggy also kind of, got chopped by Freddy wearing that fur coat, even though just before Freddy saw Shaggy wearing the fur coat in the freezer thinking it was the ghost, and Shaggy's explaining, no, I'm not the ghost. I can't undo the zipper. So, it made for some fun. The mystery was also interesting, as they did a great job setting up Mr. Queen to be the one of the ghosts, but it turns out to be the kind of the silly, kind of aloof Mr. Grizzly, who's a great actor, because I fully believe this guy's got to be innocent. He's just blind and deaf and doesn't know what the heck's going on. And he's cooking up bacon and eggs. Sounds like a night security guard thing to me, what a real guy would do. So yeah, I like that. And I thought it was funny how Mr. Grizzly mistook Scooby as a woman and Velma as a boy. I thought it was pretty funny. So I just took off a half a star because the spooky factor just wasn't cranked to the level I wanted, especially with the design of these ghosts. We saw them so spooky in A Night of Fright of No Delight, but here they're just kind of, they don't get enough screen time, I don't think. And I wanted more out of this episode. I'd love to see this one redone, or do I? I tend to wish to see things redone sometimes, but usually it's things are sometimes better left as is, right? At least that's my opinion sometimes. Anyway, join me next week when I will be covering The Spirits of 76. And after that, I will be doing my ranking video for season 1. Until next week, stay spooky.